The whole room went dead silent the second the security video hit the TV screen. Jessica was mid-scream, her phone halfway to her ear, probably to call her lover for help, not me. But now she was frozen, mouth open, blue eyes wide with the shock of her own lies exploding back in her face. Let's rewind 30 seconds. I didn't walk in quietly. I stormed through the front door with purpose, holding my phone out like a torch. There was no more second-guessing, no more, maybe I'm just insecure. The proof was burning a hole in my hand, footage straight from my dashcam, showing my wife, Jessica, perfect little Jessica, sneaking her boss Troy into our house while she thought I was at work. My heart was pounding, but my face was stone cold. I had to be. Jessica spun around, startled, nearly dropping her mug. Matt, what the hell are you doing home? You're supposed to be at the office. I cut her off by connecting my phone to the TV, casting the footage up for everyone to see. Her breath caught in her throat as the screen lit up, Troy, the hushed giggles, the quick nervous glances, the keys sliding into our front door. I spoke just loud enough to shake her composure but calm enough to control the room. You want to tell me what this is, Jess? Or do we let your boss explain it to HR first? For a second, she didn't even try to lie. The shock had slapped all the fake sweetness out of her. But then she rallied, snatching her mask back on like nothing had happened. That's not what it looks like. Troy was here because, she stopped, her mind scrambling for any excuse, any lie that would buy her time. You're being insane, Matt. Are you seriously spying on me? I stepped closer, my hands steady, my eyes locked on hers. I wasn't spying. You just got caught. Now the fear really started to flicker behind her eyes. But Jessica, being the manipulative piece of work she is, flipped the script so fast you'd think she rehearsed it. She tossed her hair and crossed her arms, looking down her nose at me like I was the one who needed to explain myself. Maybe if you actually paid attention to me instead of your pathetic job, I wouldn't have to spend time with someone who treats me like I matter. That was it. All the anger, all the humiliation boiled over. I turned the volume up on the video, just loud enough so her voice, full of flirtation, filled the house. You hear that, Jess? Still want to say it's nothing? She didn't back down. Jessica was always ruthless, especially when cornered. So what, Matt? Maybe Troy is more of a man than you ever were. Maybe I finally got bored of waiting for you to grow a spine. That cut deep, but the time for tears had passed. I watched the last few seconds of the footage play out, her hand in his, both of them slipping upstairs like teenagers. My vision blurred with fury, but I didn't let it show. Not now. Get out, I said, voice ice cold. Call Troy, call whoever you want. But you're not staying here another night. She laughed. Laughed. You think you can kick me out of my own house? Try me. The showdown had started, and there was no turning back. The lies, the betrayal, her smugness, it was all out in the open now. And for the first time, I wasn't the one on the ropes. Jessica didn't budge an inch. She just smirked, that trademark arrogance oozing from every pore. You're cute when you try to act tough, Matt. You want to throw me out? Call a lawyer. Good luck. She reached for her phone, started texting, probably Troy, probably backup, maybe even her mother for good measure. Her complete lack of remorse, the way she turned my world upside down and acted like she was untouchable, it snapped something inside me. I grabbed my jacket from the chair and said, "Don't worry. I will." As I stormed upstairs, I could hear her laughing, actually laughing, as if this was just another argument over who forgot to buy milk. I needed air. My hands were shaking, not with fear, but with rage and something raw that I hadn't felt in years, determination. I wasn't about to let her turn this into one more game where she pulled the strings. My mind was racing. Images flashed, Jessica sneaking around, Troy's smug face. The years I spent building our home, thinking it meant something. It all felt like a cruel joke. I splashed cold water on my face in the bathroom and stared into the mirror. For a split second, I didn't even recognize the guy staring back. He looked older, harder, sharper. Maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Downstairs, Jessica was on the phone, her voice low and fake sweet. "Yeah, Troy, he knows. No, I'm not worried, he's just having another meltdown. Trust me, I'll handle it." The audacity. I wasn't even out the door before she started spinning her web of lies. I grabbed my car keys and headed out, not to run, but to fight smart. If she wanted a war, I'd bring one. I drove straight to my buddy Mark's place. Mark and I had been friends since college, the kind of friend who'll drop everything to have your back. He opened the door before I even knocked, probably saw the rage on my face from the driveway. "Dude, what happened?" I played the dashcam footage for him. Mark's eyes widened. "No way. She really brought him to your house? In broad daylight?" I nodded, jaw clenched. He didn't try to comfort me, didn't feed me platitudes. He just said, "You need to hit back. Hard. Start with her job. You've got proof. Ruin them both." That snapped me out of the shock. Mark was right. Jessica and Troy both worked for the same company, one that loved to brag about its family values. I emailed the footage, anonymously, to their HR department and CC'd the CEO, just for fun. If Jessica thought she was untouchable, she was about to find out what happens when the truth is weaponized. Back home, I parked down the street and watched the house for a bit, just to see if Troy would show up. He didn't, but Jessica kept pacing the living room, phone glued to her ear. Every few minutes, she'd glare at the front window, waiting for me to come crawling back. Not a chance. Then, my phone buzzed. An email from Jessica's company: "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We take these matters very seriously." I couldn't help but smile, cold, hard satisfaction mixing with all the anger and heartbreak. I went back inside, ready for round 2. Jessica met me at the door, arms crossed. "You're really going to ruin my life over this?" "For what, Matt?" "For being bored with you." Her cruelty was staggering. But now, for the first time, I saw through her. I saw the manipulator, not the woman I married. "Your life? You did this to yourself," I said, my voice razor sharp. "Pack your things. You're done here." She scoffed. "I'm not going anywhere. Let's see what your precious HR thinks when they find out you're a psycho stalker." But now, I just stared her down and said, "Good luck spinning this one, Jess." The game's changed. It's funny how quickly someone can go from queen of the world to scrambling for footing. Jessica strutted around, sure she'd keep control, but once the company email landed, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First came the angry calls, then the texts, her fake confidence melting away with every new notification. She paced the kitchen, trying to keep her voice steady as she called Troy. "They want to talk to us tomorrow." "No, it's probably nothing, just HR being dramatic." "Don't worry, babe." But the tremble in her voice told a different story. I almost felt a flash of pity. Almost. I didn't let up. While she panicked, I started documenting everything: screenshots, bank statements, every scrap of evidence showing the affair and the way she'd siphoned money for her secret outings. If this was going to get ugly, I wasn't coming in half-cocked. Mark kept texting advice. "Don't say a word without a lawyer. Don't even hint at forgiveness." For once, I listened. Jessica tried another tactic: sweetness, the "let's talk about this like adults" routine she'd always used to dodge real consequences. She tried to brush my arm in the hallway, whispering, "Matt, you're blowing this way out of proportion. We can fix this. We're adults. Just stop acting crazy, okay?" I stepped away, refusing her touch. "You had a choice, Jess. You made it." She dropped the act in a heartbeat, all ice again. "So what now? You'll be a sad, lonely little man living in a half-empty house. Good luck finding someone who'll put up with you." I didn't respond. The words stung, but not as much as they used to. I finally saw what she was: a user, a manipulator, not a partner. The next day was a blur of fallout. Jessica left early, hair and makeup perfect, determined to bluff her way through HR. Troy's car showed up minutes later, both of them leaving together, like they were still in control. But she didn't know I'd sent the video not only to HR, but to Troy's wife as well. That woman deserved the truth too. My phone lit up that afternoon, Mark calling, voice full of adrenaline. "Dude, it's happening. They're in HR right now. Troy's wife is blowing up online." She posted screenshots, called them both out on Facebook. "It's everywhere, man. This is nuclear." I checked social media and saw it. Troy's wife had gone scorched earth. Pictures, angry posts, even tagging the company for good measure. Jessica and Troy were both trending for all the wrong reasons. The company responded with a bland statement about conduct unbecoming and pending investigation. The comments were vicious. Jessica called me just before noon, voice cracking. "Matt, you need to do something. They're talking about firing me. You know I can't afford to lose this job. Please. Please, I'll do anything." Gone was the arrogance. All that was left was desperation. For a split second, I remembered our wedding day, her promise to always be honest, to stand by me. It felt like a lifetime ago. I forced my voice flat. "You burned every bridge, Jess. I'm not saving you." She snapped. "You think you're so righteous? You're just a coward. You'd rather ruin my life than face your own failures." That was the final straw. "You did this, Jess. Not me. You want sympathy? Call Troy." "Oh, wait, he's busy explaining things to his wife." I hung up and let the silence settle in. For the first time since this hell started, I felt free. The dominoes kept falling. Jessica was suspended, Troy too. Their faces plastered all over social media. Even her parents called me, desperate for answers, trying to guilt me into saving the family name. I told them the truth: ask your daughter. That night, I poured a drink and sat on the porch. My hands were steady, my mind clear. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one chasing after her approval. I was finally, brutally, done. The storm was only just beginning. Jessica returned that evening, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, but the minute she saw me, her eyes narrowed, turning cold and venomous. She was done pretending. "You think you're clever? You think this is over?" Her voice cracked between rage and something like panic. I didn't bother standing up. "I know it's not over, Jess. But it's over for you." I took a long sip of my drink, not breaking eye contact. "You played your games. Now you get to live with the consequences." She paced the room like a caged animal, still in her designer work clothes, makeup smeared, phone glued to her hand. "I hope you're happy. My career is over. Troy's wife has gone full psycho, and now my parents are threatening to cut me off. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Her voice kept climbing, full of blame, never accountability. I shrugged. "All I did was show people the truth. Everything else? That's all you, Jess." For the first time, she actually looked shaken. But even then, Jessica couldn't admit defeat. "You want me gone so bad? Fine. But I'm not leaving empty-handed. Half this house is mine. My name's on the deed." I almost laughed. "Not for long. You forgot something, Jess. I'm the one who's been paying the mortgage for the last 3 years. And now that your name's in every HR email and your affair is public, good luck fighting this in court." That got her. The mask slipped again, rage and fear warring on her face. She lunged for her bag, rummaged through it, and pulled out a stack of receipts, probably her secret stash of evidence. "You think you're so much better, Matt? Newsflash, no one's perfect. You want to air all our dirty laundry? Go ahead. But I'll make sure you regret this." Her threats bounced right off. I'd spent too long living in fear of her moods, her lies, her power trips. The spell was broken. Then, suddenly, a knock at the door. Jessica froze. I stood, heart thumping, and opened it. On the porch stood a sheriff's deputy, papers in hand. Jessica's eyes widened. "What is this?" she hissed. "Jessica Anderson," the deputy asked. "You've been served. You're being evicted for breach of lease, subletting, unauthorized guests, and multiple complaints from neighbors. You have 48 hours to vacate." For a split second, time stood still. Jessica's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. The deputy handed her the papers, nodded at me, and walked away. The shock on her face was priceless, a cocktail of disbelief and pure humiliation. She rounded on me. "You called the cops? You're seriously going to throw me out?" I shrugged. "No, Jess. You did this to yourself. I just made sure people finally saw it." She lost it then, screaming, cursing, throwing whatever she could grab. I let her get it out, then calmly walked upstairs and locked myself in the spare room, ignoring the chaos below. I texted Mark, filling him in. He replied instantly, "Good. Let her drown in her own mess." I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, adrenaline still surging. But beneath it, relief was settling in, real relief, the kind I hadn't felt since before all the secrets, before her contempt replaced love. It was finally, really over. In the morning, Jessica was gone, her car missing from the driveway, her closet half emptied, angry voicemail on my phone. I didn't listen. I deleted it. I didn't need her voice in my head anymore. But this wasn't just an ending. It was the start of something new, a chance to finally rebuild, on my terms, with nothing left to hide or lose. And I swore, as I watched the sun rise over a quiet, empty house, that I'd never let someone like Jessica have power over me again. The next days felt like living in someone else's house. Jessica's things were half-packed, boxes everywhere, her perfume still lingering in the hallway, a sick joke from the universe. I barely slept. Each time my phone buzzed, my chest tightened, waiting for another crisis. I wasn't wrong. At noon, a message from her flashed across my screen. "Jessica, you ruined my life. Hope you're happy." Then, 5 missed calls. Then a screenshot, she'd posted a long, tear-soaked rant online, playing the victim. "My husband betrayed me. He kicked me out for a mistake. People don't change." Her friends and followers lapped it up, sending her hugs and heart emojis, oblivious to the real story. I scrolled through the comments, watching strangers paint me as the villain. For a second, I almost typed out the truth, but I stopped myself. I'd already won. I didn't need their approval. I needed peace. Still, the hits kept coming. That afternoon, a courier arrived with legal papers, Jessica's opening shot in the divorce war. She wanted half the house, half my savings, and spousal support. It was laughable, except there was nothing funny about it. I called Mark, vented my rage. "She's really trying to milk me after all this, bro." Mark just whistled. "Typical. She never cared about you, just what you could give her. You gotta fight back, Matt. Get a shark of a lawyer. Don't leave anything to chance." He was right. That night, I called the toughest attorney I could find, someone with a reputation for making cheaters regret every choice. We met in his office the next day, me dropping a fat folder full of evidence, dashcam footage, text screenshots, receipts, the HR fallout. He flipped through it all, nodding. "This is gold. Trust me, she's in for a rude awakening." As we built my case, the world outside kept moving. Troy's wife filed for divorce and plastered his face all over social media, pictures of him sneaking around, text messages, even a photo of my dashcam footage. It went viral, thousands of strangers rallying behind her, calling Jessica every name in the book. My phone blew up with notifications, reporters even leaving voicemails wanting a quote. I ignored them all. Jessica, meanwhile, was unraveling. She showed up at the house 2 days later, bags under her eyes. A wild, desperate look in her face. She pounded on the door until I opened it, not even trying to hide the venom. "You could have just let this go, Matt. But you had to destroy me." I stood in the doorway, blocking her path. "You destroyed yourself, Jess. I just stopped protecting you." She tried a new angle, tears, sobbing, promising she'd make it right if I dropped the divorce. "I can change, Matt. You know I can. Please, don't do this." For a second, I remembered the woman I married, the one who held my hand and whispered dreams about our future. But she was gone. This version of Jessica was just an echo, hollow and manipulative. I kept my voice even. "It's over, Jess. You need to leave. If you try anything else, I'll go public with everything you've done." Her mask shattered, replaced by pure hatred. "You'll regret this, Matt. You think you're winning, but you'll end up alone, miserable, and broke. No one will ever love you." She stormed off, slamming the door behind her. The silence after she left was the loudest I'd ever heard. But it was my silence now, no more walking on eggshells, no more waiting for the next betrayal. The world wasn't done throwing punches, but I was done flinching. Jessica's story was everywhere, but for once, I didn't care how it looked. I was free. And for the first time, I believed I could actually stay that way. Freedom felt good, but it was never simple. The world moved on, but Jessica's mess followed me everywhere. For days, her online tantrums kept getting worse. Every hour brought a new post, some fake apology, some half-baked justification, and always that undercurrent of bitterness. My inbox overflowed with old friends and distant relatives asking what happened. Everyone wanted the inside scoop. Mark and I grabbed drinks at our usual dive bar, a place with sticky tables and no questions asked. "You look like hell, bro," he said, sliding me a beer. "But at least you're finally rid of her." I shrugged. "She's like a bad virus, won't let go." He laughed. "Just keep doing what you're doing. Eventually, even the worst stories get old." But the legal side ramped up fast. Jessica's lawyer called mine, spitting fire about unfair treatment, character assassination, and mental anguish. My attorney just grinned. "Let them talk. We've got evidence. She's the one who torched her own career." Then the real curveball, Jessica tried to break into the house. I woke up one night to the alarm blaring, red lights flashing. I stumbled downstairs, adrenaline surging, and there she was, standing in the driveway, screaming into her phone. The police arrived minutes later, calm but firm. "Sir, do you want to press charges?" I looked at her, hair wild, mascara running, voice hoarse from yelling. She wasn't the ice queen anymore. She looked broken. "No," I said quietly. "Just make sure she stays away." The next day, my lawyer filed a restraining order. No more games. Jessica was out for good. Still, the drama followed. Troy, desperate to save his own skin, sent me a text. "Troy, Matt, man to man, I'm sorry. She said you guys were over. I never meant for this." I stared at the screen, rage bubbling up. All those times he'd smiled at me, shaken my hand, just another snake. I didn't reply. He lost his job anyway. Word spread fast in their industry. I heard through the grapevine he was living in a crappy hotel, begging for second chances. I'd be lying if I said I felt bad. Meanwhile, Jessica tried everything to regain control. She spun her own story, claiming I'd been abusive, that I was the real villain. But people weren't buying it anymore. The truth was out. The dashcam footage had been shared so many times it was almost a meme. She became a cautionary tale, a warning for anyone who thought they could cheat without consequences. Still, nights were the hardest. Alone in the house, I replayed everything in my head, every lie, every cold shoulder, every time I tried to fix things she was already busy breaking. Anger faded, replaced by something else, relief, sure, but also emptiness. What now? What do you do when the person who tore you apart is finally gone? One night, Mark invited me to a poker game with a few old friends. You need a win, he said, grinning. For a few hours, I let myself laugh, curse, and forget. For the first time, I didn't feel like the guy who got screwed over. I was just mad again, flawed, but breathing, healing. Jessica's eviction became official. A moving truck came, 2 strangers packing up the rest of her stuff. She didn't show up, just signed the papers and vanished. The house felt different now, bigger and emptier, but finally mine. I spent the evening in the living room, boxes everywhere, drinking cheap whiskey and letting the silence settle. The sun dipped below the horizon, orange spilling over empty walls. For the first time in years, I didn't dread what tomorrow might bring. I looked at my phone, thought about texting Jessica, just one last time, maybe to ask why, maybe to get closure. But I didn't. I let the urge fade, along with the last traces of her. Tomorrow, I'd wake up in a home that was truly mine. And whatever happened next, it wouldn't be her story anymore. The sun came up on a Saturday that felt different. I woke to quiet, no frantic texts, no Jessica drama, just birds outside and the dull thud of my own heartbeat. My mind felt clear for the first time in months. No more scripts in my head about what I should have said, no more anger about what she did. I got up, showered, and made real breakfast, eggs, coffee, toast. It was nothing special, but it was the first time I'd cooked for just myself in years. Around noon, Mark stopped by with a 6-pack and a grin. Today's the day, he said, dropping onto the couch. You're officially a free man. He tossed me a can. So what's next? Burning her stuff in the yard, or are we moving straight to a dating app? I laughed, really laughed, not the bitter kind. I think I'm good with just peace for a bit. Still, a small part of me did wonder about revenge, about proving to the world that I wasn't the loser in her twisted story. Mark caught my look and shook his head. You already won, Matt. She lost everything, and you walked away. That's enough. But life after betrayal is never just peace and quiet. By the next week, Jessica's attorney started pushing again, this time for a fair settlement, using every dirty trick in the book. My lawyer held strong, slamming her with evidence, forcing her to accept the reality she'd built for herself. Still, every new letter in the mail made my heart pound. The drama never ended. At one point, Jessica herself showed up outside the house, yelling into her phone for the world to hear, threatening lawsuits, swearing she'd ruin me for good. I watched from the window and didn't move. This time, it was her alone in the chaos, not me. I spent those nights fixing up the house, repainting the walls, tossing out everything that reminded me of her, putting up new shelves. Each small change felt like a battle won, a piece of my life reclaimed. The neighbors waved again when they saw me outside. Some even stopped to say, "Good for you. You did the right thing." Word travels fast when a scandal hits home, but for once, I didn't care about the whispers. One evening, I found a box of old photos in the closet, wedding shots, vacations, memories that now felt fake. I sat on the floor, flipping through them, and realized I didn't feel sad anymore. Just empty, but free. I put the box in the trash, not with anger, but with relief. I didn't need proof of that old life. It was gone, and good riddance. Meanwhile, Mark kept dragging me out, movies, bars, a hiking trip just to get me away from the echoes of Jessica. We laughed about old times and new plans, and I started to remember what hope felt like. Then, late one night, Jessica called. I stared at her name on the screen, pulse racing. Against my better judgment, I answered. Her voice was flat, defeated. Matt. I just wanted you to know. They fired me. My parents won't speak to me. Troy moved out of state. You got what you wanted. I hope you're happy. I let the silence linger. I wanted to gloat, to scream back every insult, but I didn't. I didn't do this to you, Jess. You did it to yourself. I just stopped covering for you. She started crying, but I hung up. That chapter was done. No more rescues. No more forgiveness. As I set the phone down, I finally felt the last bit of her power over me dissolve. I was alone, sure. But I was finally in control of my life again, and whatever I built next would be mine, not just the wreckage of her lies. Divorce court was nothing like the movies, no shouting, no drama, just cold paperwork and bored officials. My lawyer handled most of it, barely looking up as Jessica tried one last time to twist the facts. But the judge had already seen the footage, the texts, the eviction. The outcome was clear. She left with far less than she demanded. I kept the house, most of my savings, and, most importantly, my self-respect. As I walked out into the summer air, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The world looked sharper, colors brighter, like I'd stepped out from under a storm cloud. Mark picked me up from the courthouse, blasting music, windows down. "You did it, man," he yelled over the wind. "You're free. Finally." For a week, I barely touched my phone. No social media, no checking on Jessica, no looking back. I hiked, read old books, fixed things around the house just because I could. The pain faded. The anger, too. In its place grew a quiet, stubborn pride, because I hadn't just survived, I'd fought back. I'd found my limits. I'd rebuilt. One night, while cleaning out the last of Jessica's boxes, I found a dusty notebook with her old to-do lists and marriage goals. For a moment, I just stared at her handwriting. All those promises, all those, one-day, dreams, lies, now, or maybe just dreams she never had the guts to chase. I tossed it in the trash and felt nothing. Sometimes, late at night, I wondered what she was doing, if she hated me, if she missed the life she'd thrown away. But those thoughts never stuck. I was too busy living. I started going to the gym again, taking up running, eating better. Even the guys at work noticed. "You look different, Matt. Lighter." I just smile and say, I finally cleaned house. It wasn't all easy. There were days the loneliness pressed in, when the silence after work felt like punishment. But instead of chasing distractions or old habits, I leaned into the discomfort. It taught me something about myself. I'd rather be alone and honest than together and miserable. Sometimes I'd get messages from people who knew the story, guys at the gym, distant cousins, even total strangers who heard about the Dashcam divorce. They'd ask, "How did you not lose your mind? How'd you survive that kind of betrayal?" I told them the truth. You think you can't survive it, until you do. And then you realize, surviving isn't enough. You've got to take back control. Make your own ending. Mark and I started a tradition, Friday night poker, just a few friends and stories that didn't involve drama. Every so often, the topic of Jessica would come up. Someone would joke about her infamous meltdown, the HR email, her last desperate text. But for me, she was just a lesson, a reminder of what happens when you trust the wrong person, and what you're capable of when you finally wake up. If I learned anything, it's this: never let anyone convince you that you're powerless. The worst people are the ones who treat your loyalty like a leash. Cut it. Move on. Don't let their chaos define your future. The house is quiet now. Sometimes, in the golden hour, I'll sit on the porch, listening to the world go by, and think about how close I came to losing everything. Then I remind myself, I didn't lose. I escaped. And every new day is proof that sometimes the best revenge is just living well, free from the grip of someone who never deserved you. For anyone who's in the fire right now, hear me, you'll get through it. And when you do, you'll wonder why you ever doubted you could.